Deborah. So I am a conservator and I do a lot of book repairs. So at the moment I'm repairing a book that has fallen apart completely. So
We need a phone call to say,
I have the cover here. You can see the condition of the cover.
could you bring along a collection of other papers?
So what has happened is the thread used in this book has completely disintegrated and all the sections of the book have fallen apart. So the folded pages like this make up a section, and these ones, the book was quite damaged from maybe age and rough handling, and so there had even been tears along here. So I've had to repair those first with the Japanese paper before I could re-sew the book. So the Japanese paper is a special paper made of some shrubs in Japan which have long fibres, so they're quite strong, and that's just an example of one type of Japanese paper. So I always glue, if I'm repairing pages, I would always glue it with starch paste, which I cook up myself, and the Japanese paper. So that's what I've done on here. I've repaired that with the Japanese paper so I can re-sew the book. So I've got these sections sitting here to repair, and I've re-sewn a fair amount. So when I'm sewing, I'm using a linen thread. So the linen thread is best for re-sewing because it is a very strong fibre, and you get this thread in different thicknesses. So this is thicker than your common even cotton or polyester thread. This is much thicker. And depending on the size of the book, you can get the thread in different thicknesses. So I've just got my needle, and so you don't need a lot of equipment to re-sew your book. I've got my needle, my linen thread, and I'm re-sewing this book. Now it's important, with an old book, I don't want to put new holes in it, so I'm just using the old holes that are there. So you can see these holes were there when the book was originally sewn. So I'm just re-sewing using those holes. If I was making a new book, I would probably have more holes and probably have a few more holes and sew it over tape perhaps for extra strength. I'm trying to think, I don't have one here maybe that shows it. Yeah, linen thread is the best for sewing, and you've just got to find the centre. And as I said, all the threads had broken previously, so I've pulled those all out, pulled them all apart. Now I have repaired the pages and I can do the re-sewing. So you can't just pull it apart and necessarily re-sew straight away because you usually have repairs to be done. So I'm going through those old original holes and through the repaired tissue where I've had to use that. When you get to the top or bottom, you loop your thread back through the previous sewing section to hold the section together quite strongly. So loop that back through and through there, and then you get a good tight strength on sewing those together. So I always make sure that I've got the sections in order, so check your page numbers before you sew it on. You never want to sew it in correctly without checking. And I want to look for the centre of those pages where it was sewn previously. So you've got to find the centre one to make sure you're open and sewing at the right place. Otherwise you won't get all the pages in. So I place that back on there and get my needle and go in through there. Now where I have done the repairs, I have put holes in before I've re-sewn it, just so you can find where you're going. So back through, and as I said, you would often sew over tapes. The tapes provide a bit more strength. So you can sew over tapes here, but this has already got the cloth over it. No, I don't have any. So yeah, but these are the sorts of tapes you would sew over for extra strength. And sometimes if you buy a book, you can look here and you can see where the tapes are underneath that end paper. So back to the sewing. So So what I often do, because if I put it down, you often can't find the middle again, I often just rest something there so I can find that middle section when I'm re-sewing. Especially if, as I said, if I put it down and looked at something else. And there. So I'm almost down to the last two sections. And once again I'm at the end. So back through there to get the strength. And this might be a little bit annoying because I think my thread is not going to go back. I'm going to have to join on thread. It's not going to be enough to go back again twice. So that's quite annoying, but it doesn't matter. We can add a piece of thread on. So page 8 and page 9, that's correct. And I am at the front of the book now. So there we go. Up back through there. And I'll quickly sew that. And then see where I need to join my new thread on. And I think I'll join it on the end piece. So the reason I do need a new thread is because I'm putting a new end paper on. So you can see here you had the yellow end paper that was glued down, and I think the end paper's gone missing. So I've got a new piece to add on. So now I want to sew that on, and that's why we now need. I realise I haven't gone back through the previous section, so I'm just going to re-thread that. Maybe I'm going to re-thread that. Let's see. It doesn't want to thread. Yeah. And that's just to go back through that previous section to make sure the sections are held together quite strongly. So then I would sew this piece back on here. Unfortunately these pages aren't very flat, but I'm not going to trim it, I'm just going to leave them as they are. So you've got all that sewn part now, but that is not really strong enough to hold the pages together. So I would normally put it down there and put a good weight on it. Oh, I could use that. I even have a brick that I've covered in fabric to use, because the idea is you want to glue it and you want to get good contact when you glue it. So I want to try and get it in place as much as possible. Put it on the edge there. Put a weight on, maybe this weight, we'll see better. Ooh, that's heavy. So yeah, you can use anything as a weight, a brick, a piece of stone, or just some other books. So yeah, I'll put that down and try and get that even. And then I would glue that. And so I would glue this on a little bit shorter than the end of the book. So I need to cut that. So the idea is this will be glued on there and it's overlapping on each side. So that can be seen on this. So here, this is traditionally what you would use to glue over the spine of a book, open weave muslin, like here. So quite an open weave muslin. But I tend to just use a cotton fabric quite often, because it's quite strong, because you often see on old books the muslin splits, tears along there when it gets old. So this is what I would do. I would put on that muslin so you've got that overlapping. And the idea of that overlapping is to join it on and provide strength and contact, because that's going to be glued down there. And this one has been sewn over tapes, which also provide extra strength. And they'll all be glued down there. And then that end paper will be glued on, and you'll end up with it looking like that. So here I've got it, I'll glue it on there, and then I will glue a piece of paper over the top just to really hold it in place. But you do need something, a weight to hold it down so the glue's not penetrating too far into the pages. So yeah, that's how you would re-sew a section and then re-glue it. And once I've re-glued all that and let that dry, I would then go to the step of repairing the cover, which is a whole nother job. Repairing the cover and then putting that text block back into that cover. And yeah, so that's what's happened here, that we've done the gluing. You've got a nice pretty end paper. This is just a book I've made, and then yeah, as you can see, you've got that cloth there that will be glued down there to hold all the text block to the covers.